Good morning. I'm J. Lenora Bressler. Welcome to the October 25th, 2017 edition of The Bible, Delight in the Details. You know, the story in Exodus 32 of the golden calf is just the gift that keeps on giving when it comes to often overlooked but important details. And today we're going to look at a very small detail that really leads to a lot of introspection. Now, we can't be terribly didactic about it because although it's there in the Bible, there's not a lot of detail, and so we don't really know a lot about it, but it does lead to a lot of fascinating speculation and therefore introspection for us. And here is the detail. In chapter 32, when Aaron has been basically attacked by the people, we studied in another program that the words really are when the people came against Aaron, when they surrounded him with the threat of latent violence, he capitulated. Now, what did they want? They wanted him to give them a God they could see. They wanted a physical representation of the God who was invisible. And we talked about that he did go along with it. He capitulated to them. But here's the detail I want to talk about today. The Bible specifically says that he said to them, and it's obvious that it was the men, it was the elder men of the group. He said to them, all right, yank out the gold earrings from your wives, your sons, and your daughters. Then he used those gold pieces, those gold earrings, to make the golden calf. Now, why is this significant? Well, first of all, it's kind of interesting. Who came to him? The men. Apparently the elders. Now, there's nothing surprising in that. It was a covenantal kind of situation where the heads of the families would represent the entire family. However, there does seem to be, at least there is the implication of somewhat of a division. Because where are they going to get the material to make this God? It's going to come out of gold earrings. Who's got them? The families. Why would, if the families are all gung-ho about giving up the gold, why would Aaron tell the men, yank out? And that's the actual words. It's not gently remove. It's not ask them to volunteer it to be given. No, it's yank out of the ears of your women, your children, the gold earrings. My friends, first of all, it's interesting that when we sin, we breed discontent in relationships. It follows as night the day. When there is wrongful thinking and wrongful behavior between us and God, you know there is going to be problems in the family and problems in our relationships with others. It just happens. It is a natural consequence. We are meant to live in community. God himself as a Trinity models that. He is himself a community. And when we are not right with God, we cannot be right with our fellow man. And we see that. Now here's another detail. Where did they get these gold earrings? They were slaves. We know that God ordained that the Egyptians gave them lots of jewelry and lots of metal as they were basically saying, please get out of Dodge. All these plagues are killing us. Get out so your God will stop wreaking havoc on Egypt. So these slaves had been given the gold provided by God. And that's another thing we should always remember. God gives us what we need to worship him. Because that gold was supposed to go, and we know this because at the very moment this was happening, Moses is up in the mountains being instructed by God how to build the tabernacle. And the tabernacle was to have gold and all these precious jewels. Well, where would these slaves get them? Because they'd been given them by the Egyptians, inspired obviously by God. God never asks unreasonable things of us. He gives us what we need in order to do His work and in order even to worship Him. What a glorious, glorious thing. And yet, what were these people? These people wanted a God. They didn't want to give up anything, even recognizing that they had been given those things. Why should they have been so desirous of keeping it that they had to be yanked out of their ears? They had been given that by God. And yet, don't we want to keep everything that God gives us? I have a friend, and I know he means well, but he's always telling me, you let people just take advantage of you, and you give away everything and all. And you know what? He's right. A lot of times I am taken advantage of, and a lot of times people do, take what I'm offering and don't always give back in equal measure. But so what? I mean, first of all, I think that's how we're supposed to live. And number two, God has the cattle on 1,000 hills. If we are given everything, we are given our time, our talent, our wisdom, our abilities, our stamina, our everything. We're given everything. Why should we hold tightly to something that has been a gift to us? And if we give it away, and then God can easily replenish it. He can easily replenish it. And even if He chooses not to, for whatever reason, it wasn't ours to begin with. It is all a gift from God. It is all to be held very lightly in our hands and given away, confident that God will either replenish it or will just take us on, because we won't need it. We won't need it to be replenished, because we're going to be done, at least in this earth. So it's a fascinating little detail that reminds us that God will provide what is needed for His work and for His worship, that everything is from Him, and that we should not abuse what He's given us, but we also shouldn't be so clingy to the things that God gives us. God is so, so generous with us. Let us be generous as well. I'm J. Lenora Bressler. Visit me again on the next edition of The Bible, Delight in the Details. Have a great day.